the standard form. They're telling us find C, which by all accounts, this should have been A and B and C, but they call this C. It doesn't matter. Really, it's not important. So find C so that the slope is 1/2. I have no choice because from here I cannot identify the slope. So then what do I do? How do I determine the slope to set it equal to 1/2? What did we always do to these equations? We had 2 or 3 in the last 5 minutes. So what do we need to
solve for y?
Of course, we must solve for y. It's the only way. Okay, so let's solve for y. What do we have to do first to solve for y?
Move the 5x.
Yes, wisely in front of 17. We're not done. We haven't solved for y yet. I have
Divide by c.
Divide by c. That's why, remember a long time ago, we solved for letters. So y equals -5 over cx plus 17 over c. Remember, I was telling you it's wiser to divide term by term. Don't just simply write a long fraction line with c in the denominator, because that is a problem. It's not incorrect, but you cannot proceed. That's the problem. Can anyone identify the slope now? Remember, if you do not arrange it in descending order of the powers of the variable, then you will have difficulties in finding the slope.
5 over 1?
Careful.
-5 over 1?
Careful.
I just figured it was 1.
But I can't. I have to read the slope I see. So what is the slope?
-5 over c?
Indeed. This has to equal 1/2. So -5 over c equals 1 over 2. How is this called? And how do we solve it? It's very important to remember the name. Very important. Very important. Yes, this is a proportion. And only in a proportion we can cross multiply. Careful, you cannot incorporate negative with both. You either put it with the top or you put it with the bottom, but not with both. Because if you put it in both, you are changing the sign. So -5 over c is either -5 over c or is 5 over -c, not both. Not both negative. So let's cross multiply and see what we get. Rachel already told us. She's bored to death. I know that. Sorry, Rachel. C times 1 is C. 2 times -5 is -10. And this is it. So C must be -10 for the slope of this equation to be 1/2. Is this okay? Good. But we have to solve for a y first. So then we can go in and we put in -10 and we check and move on. Okay, 28. Find the value of the missing coefficient. Do we need to work on this or is this clear? Anybody? Do we need to work on this one or we move on?
We can work on it.
Perfect. Find the value of the missing coefficient in the equation ax minus 4y equals 24 so that the slope is -4. So let's take a minute and work on this. Can anyone tell us what you're going to do? Just tell us the first step. What will you do? Josh, what
Move
will...
over the a and oh.
That's okay. Go ahead, Rachel.
Move a and x over in front of 24?
Yes, and solve for y. Very good. So let's take a moment. and work on this one before we continue. Let me know if you need help or you don't know what steps to follow. So Rachel already told us is negative 4y equals negative 8x plus 24. Please always arrange the right-hand side in descending order. This is very important. So it makes our life easier because we're not going to make a mistake in finding the slope. Good. Now what will be the next step? Josh, will you tell us what is the next step? Alan, will you tell us what is the next step?
Divide 4.
Divide both sides by?
Negative 4.
Excellent. So y equals a over 4x minus 6. Does everyone agree with this step? Thank you. Does everyone agree with this step? Okay, so now what will I set equal to negative 4? What is the slope of this line? Can anyone identify the slope of this line that we need to set it to equal to negative 4?
16 over 4?
So a over 4.
Oh, negative.
So a over 4. And this is a proportion because this is over 1. And we'll cross multiply and we get a equals negative 16. Is this okay? So in this equation, a should be negative 16 for the slope to be guaranteed to be negative 4. Good? Good. So let's take a look. The cost of driving a car includes both fixed costs and mileage costs. Fixed and variable. Variable meaning it depends on how long I drive, how many miles I drive. Assume that it costs $160.60 per month for insurance and car payments. Okay? So we have fixed costs. And they are giving us $160.60 per month. And 45 cents per mile for gasoline, oil, and routine maintenance. And this is variable. Variable costs. 0.45 per mile. Find values for the slope and the y-intercept in the equation y equals mx plus b that models the monthly cost of driving, and then what does the value of b represent? Good. So we need to come up with an equation as y equals mx plus b. Of course, this is what the variable cost is all about, because we need to multiply by the number of units. In other words, by the number of miles we drive. And the fixed cost, it doesn't matter if we just keep it in the garage or in the, on the street, then we have to pay that anyway. And that is the fixed cost. That is the y-intercept. So how do I write the equation then?
Y equals 0.45x plus 160.6.
That's it. That's all we needed to do. So let's enter it. And let's see what else they're asking. So we're going to enter the slope, exactly what you just said. Do not enter 0.45x. That is not the slope. The slope is only the coefficient, the number that is multiplied or multiplies x. Do not put 0.45x. That is incorrect. I'm not saying you are going to, but I just wanted to emphasize. Good. Now, the y-intercept is indeed the 160.60. And now let's see what they want. Good. So now, what does the value of b represent? Again, even if we don't drive the car, we still have to pay that fixed cost. The optimal cost of owning the car for 1 month. I don't know if it's optimal. What does that optimal mean? Part B, the total cost of owning the car for 1 month. Correct. The rate of change, no, it's not a rate of change. The rate of change has 2 measurement units. Speed is a rate of change, miles per hour. But this is, the cost here is just in dollars. It's not given to us like this one, $0.45 per mile. Dollars per mile is a rate of change. It's a slope. It has a rise and a run. But this one does not. This is just a regular number. So the rate of change is absolutely not. The fixed cost of owning the car for 1 month without driving it, indeed. So here, the total cost of owning the car for 1 month, it's not the total cost. It's just the fixed cost of owning the car for 1 month without driving it. That's the y-intercept. That's the b. If I don't drive it, I still have to pay. But if I drive it, the cost goes higher because now I have gas to pay and so on and so forth. Good. A barrel contains 196 gallons of gasoline that is being drained at a constant rate. Constant rate. Rate of change or constant rate. 11 gallons per hour. What is that? Immediately you have to think 11 gallons per hour. What is this? It has 2 measurement units. What should it is the slope because it's rise over run. That's why it has 2 measurement units. One coming from the y variable and one coming from the x variable. In other words, here is hours, and here is gallons. That's why the slope has 2 measurement units, one coming from the numerator and the other one coming from the denominator. Good, let's read on. What does it say? Move on, move away. Okay. So there are 196 gallons of gasoline. That is the starting point. What is that? We identify the 11 gallons per hour must be the slope, but we have in the barrel of gasoline, we have 196 gallons. What does that mean?
Y-intercept.
The y-intercept. Write the equation. So B is 196 gallons. So now I want to write the equation. How do I write the equation? Careful. We are draining. We are draining at 11 gallons per hour. So what does that mean if we are draining at 11 gallons per hour? What is the
negative 11x?
Exactly. So negative 11x plus 196. The y-intercept. Excellent. Good. Moving on. So we enter, what do they want? Again, write an equation that models the number of k. So negative 11x and then plus 196. And we check and we move on. Really? Because I didn't write the y equals. So don't make the mistake I made. I always thought that they are going to put that in, but they didn't. So you have to write, everything is correct, but you have to write y equals. My mistake. Really? I don't understand what it doesn't like now. This is not the negative that I should put. Maybe it's a different negative. Oh, I'm sorry. I put x instead of t. Okay. So because it says t hours, yes, we have to always, I have to take my own advice. I have to read the fine print. It says t hours and I put, instead of t, I put x. Sorry about that. Okay.
And G equals. instead of Y
And
equals.
g instead of y. Yeah. So sorry about that. So you have to enter, instead of y, you have to enter g. Instead of x, you have to enter t to consider it correctly. Okay. Okay, got it. Sorry. Good. Writing an equation that models a described quantity. Worker has earned $100 and is being paid $13 per hour. Good. How would you write this? Where P represents the total pay. So now I have to be careful. So it's P equals $13 per hour. It's a rate of change. It has 2 measurement units, so we know what it is. And he already earned $100 for something. Has already earned $100 and is being paid from now moving on at $13 per hour. How do I write the equation? Anyone would like to try? Anyone, please?
13t plus 100.
Yes. Plus 100. Exactly. Did I use P? Yes. Did I use T? Yes. Good. The annual fixed cost, assuming the car is completely paid for. Yes, this is the same thing. Just be careful not to enter Y instead of X and C instead of T. Truck rental companies, okay. Write an equation that costs dollars renting. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting because it's asking us to do something with it afterwards. So let's work on this problem and then we move on. A truck rental company rents a moving truck, and this is problem 33 in 4.4. It's charging $34 plus 12 cents per mile, and they want us to write the cost C. Can anyone give us the equation? 34 plus 12 cents or $0.12 per mile. This is exactly what we just did. How do I write this? Anybody, please? $34 and $0.12 per mile.
Is it 139 equals 0.12x plus 34?
Careful. So we want the cost. So per day they're charging us $34 fixed, plus $0.12 per mile. and we want a function, an equation. The linear equation, C equals. So $0.12 per mile. Careful what dollars per mile means. In addition to that, $34 fixed per day. How do I write that?
Is it $34 equals 12?
No, this is the same thing. It's 0.12x plus 34. So the total cost is the fixed per day plus the cost per mile times the number of miles. So this is exactly the same thing we just did in all these problems. They're all the same. I'll explain to you why I wanted to work on this problem. So here we have, okay, so they want x, okay, good, 0.12x and plus 34. Did I use x? Yes. Use integers? Yes. Okay. I think I'm okay. But now, they're also asking, what is the cost of renting the truck if the truck is driven 139 miles and 301 miles? So they want us to calculate how much will it cost total if the truck is driven 139 miles.
$50.68.
So all we have to do, right, so all we have to do is replace x by 139 and afterwards by 301. Do we understand that step? Now, here's what I want you to do. I hope you have your calculators. And in y equals, we've done this before. In y equals, you will enter this function, 0.12. X is right here next to alpha, this key right here, in the middle of this row with 3. Okay, plus 34. And I hope you already have second and table set. We already did this before. So it doesn't matter the table start. It doesn't matter the increment. These numbers you can put whatever you want. It doesn't matter. They don't matter. But the independent, just the independent variable has to be in the ask mode. So you can enter the numbers you want, and then you go to second and table. And what are the numbers I want? 139, and I want 301. So when x is 139, the cost is 50.68. When x is 301 miles, the cost is $70.12. This is the best way. First of all, you will see that you entered the function or the equation correctly. Number two, you will not have to repeat the calculations, because once you have this entered in the calculator, you can plug in any x you want and you will instantaneously get the correct answer. Now, if I ask you, what are the points that we just determined? What will you say? Which points did we just determine? I just want to write them as ordered pairs.